Hi, how are you?
Hi, good.
Welcome.
Yourself?
Good.
Alright, so you applied for the fitness manager position, so we're just going to ask you a bunch of questions related to it.
Sounds good.
First question is, based on your resume, we noticed that you have a 1.5 year experience as a supervisor in a fitness facility. Can you describe a specifically hard situation you had to deal with?
It's a good question. Being a manager, you often deal with complaints, and people often come to you with little issues. I can't really think of anything major that we had to deal with. I had a good staff. Everyone was properly trained to handle any situation. But I remember one specific time where a member was kind of starting a bit of a fight with another member over some gym equipment. That was easily handled. People jumped in right away to avoid any injuries or any other confrontation. And that situation died off, and we spoke to that member, made it clear that company policy, there can't be any issues of that nature. That behavior is just not accepted. And so I believe that was handled pretty swiftly.
What role did you play in that situation?
When my staff first brought the issue up to myself, they had already handled the situation. I was up in my office. However, later on, I was the one to speak to the member. I wanted to make sure that because I was the manager, I spoke to them directly and made sure this is our policy, and made it pretty clear to them that this would not be accepted.
That's good. And how many members in your facility answered to you directly?
I was supervising three group sections, and it was group exercise, the nutrition, and sales.
Okay, perfect. Alright, we'll go to the next question. So, as you know, in this job, you might be required to deal with some staff complaints, as well as from other members of the club as well. How have your interpersonal skills developed over the years, and how do you plan to create a friendly and positive environment for our club?
So regarding my interpersonal skills, I've been working since I've been 16, and so I've had a lot of experience in the service industry, working with other people, clients, people purchasing certain things. And so I believe my personal skills working with other people has surely developed with all those places that I worked with. And trying to build a positive environment, I'm always want to congratulate people when they do a good job. And if anything goes wrong, I'm fully responsible. Me as a manager, I always felt that if anything goes wrong, it's because of me. But if anything went right, it's because of the staff, because they're properly trained, they're good people and whatnot. So I believe to build a positive environment, you have to reinforce just positive attitudes, working with the proper people, and having good relationships with everyone you work with.
Okay, that sounds really good. And I just had one question. I'm looking at your resume, and you have a bunch of places listed there. Which one would you say helped build your foundation the most? The one that you were just talking about?
I believe probably my first job really taught me the most about being punctual, showing up on time, and just understanding my responsibilities, and when someone gives you a task, to get it done as best as you can and within the time frame that they give it to you. And I feel that's probably the experience that has taught me the most. And I take some of those situations and I use it as a lesson for everything.
Okay, that's nice. Alright, so also in your resume you mentioned that you have a diploma in fitness and health, but for our job we require somebody to have a degree.
Okay.
Are you planning to, or would you consider going back to school for further studies?
I believe that is something that I am considering. However, that is more of a long-term plan. It's not something that I'm exactly looking at right now. It wouldn't be something that would affect my schedule or anything of that nature. If it is something that further down the line, that it is something that I would be looking at. There's always online courses or taking a later a late night kind of class, if that is something I decide to pursue. At the moment, it isn't really a concern of mine. It's an idea that I probably would like to eventually attain.
Okay, and if you were to go for your degree, would you take work off?
No, I'm usually fully committed to everything that I set forth in. So, no, I believe I wouldn't take off work. It would be during my own personal time. I would make it work, and it wouldn't affect my job whatsoever.
Okay, that sounds good.
The previous facilities that you have worked with are a little different from our club environment. How much do you know about our club? Like, what have you learned so far?
I understand that it is a community-based club, and that is something that interests me. Before, it wasn't necessarily a community-based environment. However, I understand that you guys are in a great neighborhood. I love the environment, the people who are around. It is something that I'd love to like work with, like the people. I've always been one to look to help others, and so having a community-based club like yourselves would be an excellent environment for me.
What would you think is going to be different coming from always being in a commercial-based workplace to a community-based?
I think building the relationships with the clientele who comes in, like having more of a one-on-one, like personal relationship with these people, because they're going to be people who you're going to see almost every day or in the neighborhood. Like whether you're getting coffee, going to work, you might bump into a member or something like that. Rather, when you're in commercial, you could be getting someone who's a member from a different area who is just coming in, and or they just live so far away, so you don't really have that interaction all the time. So having this community and the same people coming in and building those relationships is something that I would look forward to.
One more follow-up question that I have is, what skills from your past and your current job will be an asset to our club?
My organization, I like to keep on track with everything that I set plan. I like, as long as I'm organized, I feel like everyone down the chain will feel organized. They won't feel lost. They won't feel as if they don't know what to do. And that is something that I've learned over time, like better ways to manage my time, manage other people's time. And so I believe my organization is probably the best.
Okay, and I had one more question.
What is it?
Have you worked with the kids before? Because we do have a good amount of children and an older population too.
I have worked with kids before. Back in high school, I used to do my community hours at a kindergarten, and so I have worked with kids before. I understand that sometimes it can be a bit of a hassle, but whose kids aren't, right? So I have worked with kids. I love the experience. It wasn't anything I couldn't handle. And regarding an older population, working in a commercial industry, I have dealt with some older populations. They weren't the majority of the population who came to our club, but I have a little bit of experience with that sort of community.
Okay, perfect. And one last thing about this question. Do you know where to look for more information about our club? Are you open to learning more?
Absolutely.
What's your plan?
Yeah, absolutely. I understand you guys have your website, and I can always contact one of you for any more information. I have gone through your website. I've spoken to, have some connections with some people who already work here, and I hear nothing but great things about your club and just the overall community and the environment that you guys have established already.
So the last question that we have for you is, your past and current experience in fitness are very good, as we have seen in your resume. Talk to me about what continues to motivate you to move forward in the fitness industry.
Well, I believe the fitness industry is something that is always changing. It's constantly changing. Whether you went to school 5-10 years ago, there's constantly new studies. There's always new information that's available. So I believe keeping up to date is something that's almost a responsibility for everyone who's working in the fitness industry. And again, like you had previously asked, pursuing further education is something that I am interested in. But again, I believe just keeping up to date with what's new, the latest trends, because you never know. You could have a client or a member walk in asking questions about a specific trend, and you don't want to be left in the dust, leaving them as if you may not know all the information. So just being knowledgeable enough that you can give a confident answer on whatever question appears, I feel like that's a pretty good mindset to have when working in this industry.
Okay, and since you are going to be in charge of a good amount of staff, how do you plan on motivating them?
Well, like I said before, with the creating a positive environment, a lot of positive reinforcement, and when anything does go poorly, taking responsibility, not throwing anybody under the bus, and controlling every situation that does arise. And if someone isn't having a good day, just being understanding that, look, everyone has a hard time. Some days it happens. Like, even the most calm-minded people will have a bad day, and just being understanding that things happen, and tomorrow is always another day.
I guess that would be it for today's